only been 4 standing ovations.
그러니까 니코 씨도 똑같은 일 하는 말이 정도 거의 막 200명 넘게 300명.
And you were one of them.
그래서 그 5명 중에 성호 형제가
Oh no, I think thank you. Thank you. So maybe you could start by telling our audience what they didn't get to hear directly from you, just in a couple sentences.
그래서 그 저희 그 이제 그
what you've been up to lately.
이제 그 I never dreamed that I would be sitting here, being in this type of setting, and I will be enjoying this. And simply put, this is like a dream for me. And for me, this is a great opportunity and a great moment for me to be in right now. And when I think about the North Korean people that are still in North Korea right now and the suffering and the hardship that they're going through, in many ways, part of my heart still aches and hurts for them right now. So their only crime being that they were born in North Korea, so they're under the difficulty of the dictatorship, and they cannot live in freedom and enjoy that liberty. So in that sense, it is truly miserable, the fact that they're going through this. And also when it comes to the regime itself, it's a really sad and a pathetic way that the regime is really making the lives of the people, their own people, so difficult. And in that sense, with that feeling in my heart, yesterday I gave the speech with all my energy and with all my heart to be the voice for the people in North Korea.
Can you tell me a little bit about when did you first realize that the regime was lying to you and that it was actually better, people were living better outside the gates than in the gates?
As the situation in North Korea worsened and as citizens escaped North Korea and went outside the country to other countries, in this case, obviously China, I had heard through word of mouth and through rumors that if you left North Korea and went to China, you would be able to maybe not be treated fully as a human being or welcomed with open arms. You would not at least starve to death in China. And so in 2000, the year 2000, when I first went to China to look for food, that's when I realized with my own eyes, saw with my own eyes, how I've been lied to and how the situation was so much more different outside the country than what I had been told.
I found it interesting that in your talk yesterday, your 6,000-mile journey was one sentence or 2 sentences.
My journey began in North Korea, and then I crossed the Tumen River into China. And so the 6,000 miles encompassed the fact that I left North Korea to China, and then from China, crisscrossing major cities and smaller towns and villages, ending up in Laos, and then briefly going over into the Myanmar border, and then finally end up in Thailand, where I was then processed by the South Korean consulate and then flown to South Korea. And looking back, I think human beings, when we are put into an extreme, desperate situation, it causes a person to, no matter how difficult the situation may be, to take up whatever is necessary to be able to survive. Now, once in China, there was the fear of being arrested by Chinese authorities and being forcibly repatriated by the Chinese government back to North Korea. So there was that constant fear.
And so you met Thor on when he was there in the South Korea?
그 토르 대표는 서울에서 Yes.
And what do you think about his mission to bring new information into North Korea? Do you think is this going to work?
The efforts of the whole effort to send in information into North Korea, that is something I believe is very, very important. Every human being has the right to know about information about the outside world, and if North Korea was not like if North Korea was like some other countries and the people had the ability to gain access to outside information, I believe that something would have happened a long time ago in terms of the people's awareness of their sense being awakened to the reality of the outside world, and something would have happened. But because North Korea is such a closed country, and because it's like almost like it's a planet within another planet, in that sense, the mission of sending information into North Korea is a very important and much needed one. And regarding Thor's efforts, what he's doing is such an important thing to do. He's not even Korean, and yet he cares so much about this whole issue about how information must be sent into North Korea. So in that sense, as a defector, as a former North Korean citizen myself, I am deeply moved, and I have so much admiration to Thor for what he's doing.
Similar with your radio show. Can you tell us a little about that?
So the South Korean government actually supports, through its own endeavors, radio broadcasts into North Korea. One of the more proactive stations out there are Voice of America, Radio Free Asia. These are American government-funded radio stations. They use transmitters that are in other countries to transmit shortwave and medium wave into North Korea. So there are about 4 or 5, give and take a few, different radio stations that are able to broadcast into North Korea. Now, the program that we do at NOW, our organization, NAUH NOW, we use the 2 radio stations, Radio Free Asia and another American-based a Christian organization. It has its own radio station. It's called Far Eastern Broadcasting Corporation, or FEBC. And through these 2 radio stations, we're able to send in our own now produced radio shows. And what's special about our programs is that our program consists of a defector like myself and other defectors, and we understand what the North Korean people would like to hear and what contents they would like to prefer. They would prefer, and what sort of messages would be best for them to hear. So we tailor our program, the way we produce it, in terms of what is sent into North Korea. In terms of the South Korea supported the radio stations, they do not want to be too active in their radio broadcasts because they feel that it would upset the South Korea North Korean relations. So it's very politically tinged. And we don't have our own radio station. We, in a sense, borrow RFA and FEBC radio stations to send in our broadcast. But if we had more funding, what we have planned for, what we really would like to do is create a radio drama show, something that would really get the attention of North Korean listeners. So something that would not only be interesting to listen to, but fun and informational and educational for North Korean citizens in North Korea to listen to. And we have plans to do that, except we can't do it because we have no funding. So in that sense, we are limited in terms of what we want to accomplish through radio broadcasts.
My next question was going to be, after hearing your story, and I think everyone that hears your story, it's impossible to ignore what's going on. And so I think a question that a lot of people are asking is, how can we help?
Well, thank you for asking that question. I guess if I were to be more specific, our ultimate goal is to bring about change in North Korea through our own hands, the hands of the defectors. And the aforementioned radio program, for example, if we were to do the dramatic radio program, it would cost anywhere between $20,000 to $24,000 to be able to produce that show. And so in that sense, our group now, we started as just basically a bunch of college students, defectors, and South Korean college students coming together, forming this group. But now we've become more structured, more organized, and we are able to do a lot more than when we first began. But our office is a very small space. I have a dedicated the staff, about 3 of them, and I'm able to pay them barely enough for them to survive through some funding that we received elsewhere. And we have a core membership of about 100. These are 100 people. These are volunteers, defectors, South Korean students who come out to meetings and who come out to events. It's really breaks my heart to see, our staff members and our volunteers eating instant noodles and working in such a cramped space. So as a representative, as a voice for the North Korean people and for the North Korean defectors, if people can place their faith and trust in me and give not just one-time support, but something that is long-term, and that's something that's is able to support us over a certain period amount of time, I think that sort of help will be so much more meaningful and helpful to us.